fish.
Are you feeding her goldfish right now?
Yeah, take it nice.
Man, I want a couple of those. What's new?
Not much of anything.
Hello?
It's been good.
Hello?
I want hands by the case, Lord. Get the millions and lay low. Take my what I'm gonna wait for. Put my bros on the payroll. Out of sight, out of mind, on my way. Out of sight, out of mind, on my way. Out of sight, out of mind, on my way. Out of sight, out of mind, on my way.
Just on a reward system there.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah, it's all treats and stuff.
I said, she would rather bark than get a reward. I go like, there's not anything I could give her that she would think is worth her giving up what she's doing right now.
Yeah. I'll tell you, those types of companies that do like just the treat-based stuff, it's not even that I have an issue with it, but like they despise what we do. Like they think we are the devil, you know? It's crazy. Like we'll post videos sometimes of like this, for example. Say we posted this social, and we were like, look, like she's hanging out with other dogs. She's not being reactive anymore. We just walked her off leash at the park, and they would look at it and they'd be like, but look at how much she's panting. Look how stressed out she is. You actually made it worse. She's more fearful now. They'll make a whole spiel out of it just from something like this. We have it happen all the time. It's ridiculous. It's actually laughable sometimes. It's like, are you serious? Like she's obviously fine.
If she was stressed, she'd roll on her back and put her feet up in the air. That's what she does when she's really scared.
I think past that, like it's normal that a dog's going to be a little bit stressed. I mean, like I look at myself, right? Like there are situations that I'm in that I have to be in that stress me out a little bit. You know what I mean? That's okay. That's normal. I think the whole conversation about that stress and stuff, it gets you too much into the mindset of like, we care so much about the dog's feelings with things, which is important, but not enough about like how stressed I am from how horrible my dog is. You know what I mean?
Yes. But if she was
Yeah.
comfortable, she'd be standing next to me.
Oh, sure.
She doesn't mind
No, she's even looser now than she was last time. She's interacting a lot more.
table with him.
So it was good. I think he's going to be a special case. It's probably going to be a lot of with a walk, probably ditching the e-collar on the walk and like really use a pet corrector with it is what I'm going to expect just based on what I saw. And then with the inside stuff, really trying to just keep the expectations kind of low and get them pretty motivated with things. Honestly, with this dog, I look at a dog like this and I'm like, I need to get her to be able to walk him really well and have him hold a bed stand when people come over the house. Yeah. Like those are kind of the two goals that I have. I don't really give a shit about anything else. If we could check those boxes, like I'm a happy camper.
Yeah.
You know, from there, anything else is icing on the cake.
Yeah. Yeah, looking back, I think my issue was moving too fast through the process and using too high levels. So I was surprised that you were like, oh, was I only at a 10?
I literally, and I wasn't joking, I was at a 10 for the whole thing except when he started spazzing with that sit stay on the long line.
Yeah.
I think I went up to maybe like a 30 or 35 there.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it was a really cool session to watch.
Yeah, it was good. When is the next one, do you know?
No, December 1st, so it's quite a gap.
That's fine.
I put you on it already.
Yeah, that's fine.
Go, Coco. Go, Coco.
Can you
go,
sit a little bit more comfortable?
Go,
There you go.
Coco. I could probably do that for like an hour. Hi guys, it's Bridget with Miracle Canine Training.
And my name is Seamus.
And we're here to give you some tips and tricks to have a successful holiday season with your dogs.
Yeah.
Here, Miss Coco is demonstrating one of the basic commands that we teach in our training, which is a bed stay. A bed stay can be used if you're having guests come in and out of your door to gain some distance from your dog. Park them in a spot in your house where you know that they're safe and subdued, and you can have the rest of your party go on, greet your guests, cook food in the kitchen without the worry of your dog being under your feet, maybe being too rowdy with your guests. It's a really good command to just stabilize your dog in the house. So if your dog is practiced in the bed stay, you can certainly use that. I always try to advocate for my dog's space though, because you have those guests that are gonna try to be all over your dog. I make sure to let people know, hey, my dog's on a bed stay right now, please let them have their space. And I do not let people approach or pet my dog while they are on the bed stay. Once people come in, I can wait until my dog's a little bit more calm, release, and they can say hi if I'd like them to. No need for my dog to need to check out and approve or disapprove on my guest though. I'm the one providing the leadership here. If my dog is not so practiced on their bed stay and something we're still working on, I want to visit with my family. Your crate is a great option as well to place your dog in for a little bit of rest time. If you have family or friends bringing a dog to your house, I'd highly recommend still utilizing your bed stay or your crate time and not having the guest coming over, the guest dog, having a free-for-all playtime with your dog. All socialization should be supervised between dogs. So if we're going down to eat at the table, I don't want both dogs crowding underneath of the table, begging for food. I want to have some mechanical separation, either my crate or pull out my command. If the other dog is not so well trained, I'd highly recommend asking the guest to bring a crate for their dog or having some baby gates up in case we need to separate the dogs for time being.
When we're bringing dogs over to a family member's house or a guest house for the holidays, we want to make sure that we're starting the visit off with a really good heel command walking up and into the house. I want to make sure that my dog isn't going to be running around, getting everyone excited, jumping on people. So walking into the house is very important to start that visit so that the dog understands that just because we're going over somewhere else, they don't have to just be all excited. So putting them in a downstay, or if your guest has an extra dog bed or something, you can also put them in a bed stay as well, just to kind of calm them down a little bit so that when they're over, they're not getting too rambunctious. Now, that being said, when they are in a command, I do like to keep them a little out of the way and not allow the guests to come over to the dog and set them up for failure with trying to get them too excited and have them break those commands. So just allowing them their space to calm down, we're also going to be able to release them a lot faster because of that. So getting them in that command will benefit you, and they can hold that duration as long as they need to until they are able to be released. So if you are going over to someone's house and they do have other dogs, or other people are planning on bringing other dogs over, like Bridget had said, I want to make sure that we are supervising my dog with other dogs when they are having that kind of playtime or social time, because I don't want to leave them ever unattended so that, one, they are not playing too rough, or they're not getting into trouble, doing something they shouldn't be. So keeping them supervised at all times is a must, as well as restricting that playtime as well. I want to make sure that if we need to be separating them up, they have a space to go, or a command in which they can kind of hang out and calm down. I want it to be something that, if we are able to do that, and only if we are able to do that, is I would want to bring the dog over. If it seems like that will not be possible, then I would recommend just having your dog stay home, crate the dog, and then enjoy your time not having to worry about that dog.
I hope this helps you guys navigate your holiday season with your pup. As always, have a safe, fun holiday season. What are you doing?
I hope you guys all have a great holiday season as well. Be safe, keep your dogs safe, and enjoy the company.
So anything new since we met last?
Not really.
Okay, so you just got the muzzle, and you said he has been letting you put it on?
With
Generally?
some
Coercion?
trickery and coercion, yes.
All right, that's fine. Now, coming in, him holding this bed stay, stuff like that, is that pretty standard to how it goes, or is that better, worse, about the same?
It's about the same.
Okay,
Yeah,
I would say that was fairly good. There wasn't anything too wrong with that by any means. I know, it's very exciting, dude.
We don't have company too often,
Sure.
so practicing is
That's okay.
you know.
Well, what we're going to do now is we're going to follow the general protocol that we typically would follow, which is I usually have them hold that position for about like 5 to 10 minutes usually. Because what I want to see is like past all this excitement and sniffing and stuff, they kind of starts to get himself into a little bit more chill of a headspace, obviously. He's very antsy there right now. So I want to see as he's antsy if he winds up getting up or anything. So let's, we're all going to walk over here. I want to see if he tries to follow us or not. And then we'll have him hold that for a minute, and then what we'll actually do is we'll pop the leash on him and have him stay on the bed, and Seamus actually has his dog outside. I want to walk his dog just right to here and just see how he does when he sees the dog come in. Have you guys ever had another dog in the house before?
Not since before we started training with
Sure.
you. We had one of his sister's dogs stay with us for a while, but he was still like a puppy then.
Yeah, I gotcha.
He's been over a couple of times, but it's been probably like 6 months.
Okay, cool. Typical German Shepherd. Oh, bud. All right, let's actually go ahead and do this. What we're gonna do is I wanna practice like 2 more repetitions of me coming up to the door, knocking on the door, and having you put him onto the bed, just because I wanna see him do it successfully once or twice. So what I'm gonna do in a second is I'm gonna walk outside, you guys will stay in here, you guys can release him, he could be free, and then when I knock on the door, go to the bed, give that bed command. If he doesn't do it, give the correction for it. All right, so still 1 correction. And what do you get about halfway, then turn around?
He wanted to look out the window first.
Naturally.
So he went to that and then went to the bed.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and try that again. So I'm gonna go outside. As soon as I'm outside, you can go ahead and release him again. A little quicker that time. Very good.
Like, what are you gonna do?
All right, we'll do 1 more.
He pretty much just went to the bed when you knocked this time.
Yeah, that's kind of the goal. So I just wanted to let him have a successful rep or 2 there. And then obviously just continue following that when you have guests more. But that actually, like I said, all in all looked pretty good, right? And a lot of times the reason why I like to try to go and have those couple successful reps is because if I get them into that headspace of understanding you just got to go there, you got to go there fairly quickly, usually they'll settle down a little faster once they're on it because they're not quite as jumpy and eager to get up and go stare out the window or whatever because there was already obviously a correction for that. So, okay, so why don't you go ahead and pop his leash on him real quick. All right. So he's going to walk in, he's going to come to right about here, and I just want you to have him maintain that bed. Again, my only criteria is 4 paws on it. I don't care if he downs or anything. Don't worry about the barking either. As long as he stays on the bed. Perfect. Now, since you have the remote, why don't you take the treats also? I'll have you hand that pouch to her. And just like we did in the parking lot that one time, what you could do is if he's, I don't care if he's looking or anything, but if he seems like he's in a calmer state of mind, you can tell him good and reward him. That initial arousal and grumbling and growling and stuff, like I said, I ain't worried about that at all. So that's just all that stimulation of, oh my God, there's a dog over there. Naturally, there's a little bit of a sense of territorialness in the house initially, and that's the reason why we do it like this. So implement a little bit of control initially. And this is kind of what I wanted to start to see here. Tension shift a little bit more to you, obviously. keep those rewards coming, obviously, if the attention stays on you.
Good. Good. Good.
Looks pretty good. All right, so what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go do a little bit of walking with him. I wanted to see how he did first in the house, obviously going to the bed, staying calm with another dog coming by, and we'll take him outside. We'll just take him maybe down the block and back. Oh, there it is. Why don't you put him in a down?
Link it down.
How's he like deer?
Actually, most of the time he doesn't notice that they're there.
Oh man, this thing's
Oh,
really coming up on us.
Okay.
Tell him no.
Oh, no, down.
Tap your button.
No,
Then tell him down.
no,
Tell him no.
no.
There we go.
Good.
Okay, so a couple things, right? So obviously the follow through with that, really important there. Try to not, I could tell, like, obviously that startled all of us, I think, a little bit, because that thing was very close. But try to not, like, mess with your cadence and how you're giving the correction a whole lot, meaning you kind of started getting a little frantic, like, no down, no down, no down, right? You got really quick with them.
Never had something come at me like.
Yeah, right? I thought it was, I didn't know, I was like, is it gonna come up to us? Try to still maintain that composure of like, no, tap down, then give them a second. No, tap down, then give them a second, right? Because the quicker and more frantic we get with stuff like that, sometimes that's where you'll see the dog get really frustrated and you'll start seeing some of that redirecting and things like that. So, but that was good. You worked through it well. So, all right, let's keep cruising a little bit more. So, I mean, as far as the people coming in the house side of things, like I said, like that, that actually looked way better than I thought it was gonna look, frankly. I would maybe run a couple more drills of it, you know, when you have guests come over the house until he's like pretty concrete, where like 100% of the time when you give that command, he goes right to it on the first time, obviously. The walking wasn't terrible. It was actually, frankly, pretty good with you, I would say. Now, we're not seeing a ton of dogs and stuff like that, but even the couple dogs that we did see when we were out on the walk, like behind the fence and stuff, like he wasn't overly agitated by. He was fixated on, and, you know, at one point, like he obviously stopped to try to go towards, which we corrected, but like it definitely wasn't bad, right? And with the corrections with you, he seemed pretty respectful, you know, at least when you were walking him, which is why I kind of tried without the muzzle first. With me, he was a little pushy with it still, you could tell, which is why I wanted to pop that muzzle on and then see how he did after it. It's like as soon as we get that on, like all of his fight comes out right off the rip. And like the second we addressed that, it was like he was like an angel, right? He was like walking really, really good. So, you know, around the neighborhood, like obviously I don't mind if you walk him without the muzzle on. I would maybe do a couple of walks with it to confirm and check the box that you can get it on, take him for a walk, and he'll like, you know, not throw too much of a tantrum with it, obviously. I would like to see you get that under control. The barking out the window, again, you said that happens a couple of times a day. We didn't really see any of it, but that's because obviously we came in, we put him on the bed, stuff like that. But like, I mean, even knocking on the door and stuff, is he usually reactive to that?
No, it's
Okay.
only when people are on the sidewalk walking past. Like
He's actively on guard. He's like, I'm,
Okay.
I'm neighborhood watch.
I understand.
I can't be in my yard.
We
So-
literally had people like in our yard.
Yeah.
Doesn't care.
Just
But
when-
if they're walking past the house.
Yeah, yeah.
He cares.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I was kind of shocked, because usually when people tell me the dog is reactive out the window, like I fully expect when I come up and knock on that door for him to start freaking out, which is why I was like, is he even in there? Like, is he in the backyard? Like, what's going on?
Doesn't care about the mailman.
So that was actually
or-
great. Yeah. So okay, so you mentioned something. You said he's kind of actively on watch sometimes. Will you find that he like posts himself up? Is it usually that he barks out that window?
Yes.
You see that
You
little
can see the
dent?
dent.
Is that he goes up on it and just waits there?
Just sets his head down and watches.
I understand. Okay, so here's the thing, right? So 90% of the time, I'm of the mindset of wait until the dog makes the mistake, then correct for it. The one exception to that rule is when we're dealing with window reactivity, like in the house. And the reason for that is because that act of sitting at the window and like hunting for some sort of distraction is basically the start of the behavior, right? So if you look at it that way, instead of like he hasn't made the mistake and he's made the mistake, like he is actively making the mistake when he's doing that. Right? So I stop that altogether, right? There's no reason why he needs to, I've seen a lot of trainers, they refer to it as like watching TV, right? Where they'll sit at the window and they're like watching for entertainment or something to get themselves in trouble with, right? I don't think that he needs to be doing that just in general, right? So, you're gonna get a fluffed up cushion, right? So that it doesn't have a dent in it anymore. And I don't want him perched up there anymore, right? Now, will he actually, like his paws and head goes over there or
Yeah, and that's where he likes to sleep too.
yeah. So I don't mind if he lays in that corner, right? But there's no reason why he needs to be up on the back end of it, right? So if you catch him doing that, that is where I would correct the behavior. And if you start nipping that in the butt, the being up on top of there like that, you're probably going to see almost a total reduction in it because we've stopped it before it started. Right? With a lot of these types of things, like we know what it's going to turn into. So by getting him out of that kind of hunting reactive state of mind before he starts exploding like that, like I said, a lot of times they won't escalate to the next step, which is the actual freaking out. So that actually makes a lot more sense that you kind of described it like that. So that definitely get under control. I want you correcting that anytime you see him doing it, and that should pretty much nip that in the butt.
Okay.
So, like I said, let's do this. What I want to do is I want you guys to implement doing a couple of walks with the muzzle. Make sure that goes well, obviously. Tighten that positioning up just a little bit more with you, obviously. And I want you to nip the hanging out up on top of that in the butt. And then what you could do is I want you to let me know how that's going in a week. And then what we'll do is we'll try to coordinate something where we can meet up at the park or something. And we'll just pick like a weekend that looks like it's not going to be like 20 degrees out and go there. A lot of times if we get like a sunny weekend, even if it's a little chilly, there's people at the metro parks and stuff like that. So we could try to coordinate one of those days and see if we could do that. Because it sounds like that's the last big issue past those couple of things we just talked about is when you take them into those types of settings. So, but I want to see if we get these things under control here a little bit more, if that's going to gain us some leverage for when we go to do that.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah, and I gave him a walk yesterday.
Okay.
With the muzzle on.
Oh, you did?
In the
Cool.
metro park.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
cool. How'd it go?
he did pretty well. There weren't that many dogs.
Sure.
It's a little bit colder. It's like middle of the day.
Did you find that he was a little bit more just kind of subdued with it on? Or just he was just better in general?
He was about normal, I think.
Okay.
He was pawing at it,
Sure.
and he was like digging through the ground like he was like a trout hunting dog. Because he was like trying. I'm like,
Sure.
I'm gonna get this off one way or another.
Yeah.
But when he did redirect, like when I had to correct him because we didn't come across a dog, what instead of biting me, he did a body slam,
Yep.
and it was like whole thing, shoulder
Yep,
down,
shoulder
just
check,
like
yeah.
attack. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right. I mean, you're not getting away with it, but that didn't feel great.
Yeah.
He's pretty smart when it comes to
Yeah.
figuring out new ways to.
Yeah, and it's like, I would love for him to just like not redirect when we correct him, obviously, but like I also know that 90% of the time the solution is just stop being in a place where we need to correct him. Yeah.
Go all the way off trail.
Yeah.
To a point
Well,
where he's
I don't mean like avoid it. I mean like we just work through get the problem resolved. So we don't need to correct. Yeah. So that he doesn't do the redirecting. Because the problem is like because he gets so wound up, that's why the redirect is so intense, right? It's like he gets wound up and you correct and he's like, no, fuck you, right? Where as that starts to come down a little bit, you'll see it less and less intense, which is why through the neighborhood when you were correcting him that whole time, like I didn't see him even around the deer. I didn't see him actively looking like he was looking for something to bite, right? But it's because his arousal level wasn't at like an 11. It was at like a 7, So it's not going to be quite as intense. Where at the park, right, the metro parks or something like that, like, you know, when he sees a dog, he just gets so wound up that there's so much more energy behind it, you know? So that's a lot of it, is bring the energy back down to like a manageable place so you don't get as much intensity with that behind it, you know? And then little things like, you know, when we got that muzzle on him and he kind of threw his little tantrum when I was like holding his collar there, like those are things, you know, I don't know if you ever see those types of things or if you're gonna see those things when you start putting the muzzle on, but you just cannot let him win with that stuff, right? That's why I said, like, don't try to distract him with the treats or anything like that. That was just like, he was giving me some attitude because he didn't like we just put the muzzle on, that we weren't letting him take it off, and he was trying to, you know, basically tell me that he didn't like that. And it was just, no, sorry, dude, like, you gotta tolerate it, you know? And that's the biggest thing with, you know, I think we talked about this before, right? Like the shepherds and stuff, is they're just like such headstrong dogs sometimes. You know, he's a pretty confident guy. So, you know, he's got to realize that we're going to be a little more confident than him with those things.